Welcome to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real, the podcast where people like you get the practical solutions and support you need to permanently lose the physical and mental weight so you can feel better and live the life you really want to live in the body and mind you really want to be living in. If you're looking to overcome your stress eating, overeating, binging behaviors, and move to a place of food and body freedom, as well as find more meaning and more moments of joy in life, you are in the right place. Today, we're going to talk about chaotic eating. And first of all, let's kind of talk about what chaotic eating is. To me, chaotic eating is really when we're just grabbing things pretty mindlessly. The whole schedule is off. We don't really have an eating schedule. Just a lot of chaos in regards to what we're choosing, when we're choosing to eat, all these kinds of things. So chaotic eating can really get us into trouble because often if we are trying to change behaviors, if that has to do with our weight, maybe losing some weight, maybe staying in weight maintenance, chaotic eating is not at all helpful for that goal and really does just lead to a lot of times to overeating, and just to behaviors that are maybe not in line with what we are trying to accomplish. So there are things to in regards to if we are chaotic eaters, we can almost get into this um, pattern of chaos, which sounds counterintuitive, but it's kind of like unless you kind of are aware, like maybe right now you're thinking to yourself, am I a chaotic eater? And if you kind of come up with the answer, yeah, I think maybe so, then that's the first step, right? It's being aware, it's understanding what we're doing, where we're coming from in order to be able to make changes. And I'm going to talk about really specific strategies if you are a chaotic eater, what you can do to intervene and start to make changes today. So, one example that I always think about with chaotic eating would be like if you're really stressed out in the morning and you don't have time for breakfast. And so you just kind of run out the door. And then about mid morning, you're really crashing, super hungry. You didn't have breakfast. And so you grab maybe that sugary donut that's at the office or maybe two. And then what happens about in 30 minutes, an hour after that, because your blood sugar spikes so high due to that sugary food that you took in without anything else in your stomach. So the blood sugar just shot sky high and then drops again. And now all of a sudden, very soon after you eat that, you're super, super hungry. You're craving fast food because that would be, your body knows, another simple carbohydrate, another sugar hit. And so then for lunch, you just, it's like out of convenience, you're not feeling good. You just go and grab fast food. And then a couple hours later that mid afternoon, usually it's that, I don't know, that 2 to 4 time when most of us start to feel a little sluggish. We want a little pick me up. Maybe we're a little extra stressed. And so you grab that bag of chips and before you know it, the whole bag is gone. And that has a lot to do with just all the chaotic eating patterns that have gone on throughout the day. Okay, so you kind of understand what it is. So let's talk about some practical strategies that I'm wanting you to listen to all of them, but to choose just one. If you're sitting here going, yes, I'm a chaotic eater. Yes, I want to change that. Then I'm going to list a bunch. I think I've got 3 to 5 that I'm going to, if I can remember them all, that I'm going to go into. But I really just want you to choose one to start working on today. Remember, we want to make everything very doable. So this isn't about grabbing all these strategies I list and trying to implement them all exactly right now. Okay, so the first one, you're going to know what I'm going to say. You're going to roll your eyes at me, but really, it is such an important one. And it can be so incredibly life-changing when you get this skill under your belt, and that is mindful eating. And remember, all of these, they are skills. So skills are, anybody can learn a skill, anybody. It just takes patience and it takes practice. And so I want you to think of these things. They're all skills. They can be learned. So mindful eating is a skill. It takes practice. It takes a little patience and time, but absolutely you can get there. Mindful eating is one of those things that really helps us sustain behavior change in regards to food and our relationship with food. And I can't emphasize it enough, the importance of starting to practice mindful eating. Okay, another one you could try would be meal planning. And I know a lot of people are like, I don't have time to meal plan. I totally get it. Again, with some practice, you get really good at this. I mean, meal planning, I maybe spend 20 minutes on this and maybe another 30 during the week actually making the food. Um, Now I'm not making gourmet meals. This is true. And it's just me and my daughter. So I understand if you have a bigger family, that's a little different. But there are tips and tricks, things like just using a sheet pan meal, right? Where you just use one sheet pan, all the food goes on that and you bake it, or you use a slow cooker. I use a slow cooker all the time, make a lot of extra in the slow cooker. And then I have food for the rest of the week, or even stuff that I can freeze. So those are ideas when you are thinking about maybe starting to plan meals, make it super, super, super easy. Um, and then also just consider you don't have to make a new meal 7 days a week. You don't need that much variety. Your family does not need that much variety. So think about maybe 3 meals that you could make large portions of and be able to eat that throughout the week. So you have some variety, but we don't need a ton of variety right now. So this would just be a way to make the meal planning piece easier. And meal planning is really, really going to help you stay away from impulsively eating things, or running here or there to grab this or that because there's just chaotic eating going on. Okay, so that would be the next one. Another one is to really get skilled at listening to your hunger cues. So many of us are not great at knowing when we are actually physically hungry versus psychologically hungry, and really learning and tuning into your body, and starting to understand what your hunger cues are like for you, what your fullness cues are like for you. I know when I was heavily into my binging, I lost all hunger cues, fullness cues. Well, I knew I was always overly full when I would binge, but I would keep eating anyway. So even those cues weren't making me stop, right? So we can, if we have um disordered eating patterns, we can actually turn off those hunger cues and those fullness cues. And that has to do with hormones that are going on in our body. We have ghrelin, which is our hunger hormone, and leptin, which is our fullness hormone. And when we are not eating nourishing foods, and when we are eating in a chaotic manner, when we're binging or we're overeating all the time, this really affects those hormone levels. And so we actually do lose touch with our hunger and fullness cues. And so getting back into touch with those. I have different ways I work with my clients on strategies on how to do that. But overall, just really trying to practice tuning into the body. Am I full? Am I still hungry? Using the hunger scale can really help with that. Okay. And then the other one would be identifying triggers. So usually when we're in chaotic eating, we aren't noticing our triggers so much, but usually it's the next day. We can look back and be like, "Oh my goodness, why did I eat all that or eat that, or I wish I hadn't ate that," or whatever the thing is. And that's when we can kind of look back and we want to ask ourselves, what was the trigger there? What happened there that I impulsively ate or chaotically ate that food, and really look at, is it your environment? Was it a situation that happened? Typically for most of us, it's going to be a feeling, and it's going to be a negative feeling that we don't want to feel. Typically it's going to be stress. But it could be lots of other things too. But that's just in general, usually what's going on. So if you do come down, if you do get curious and you figure out, oh yeah, that is stress, that is triggering my chaotic eating, then your solve would be to really work on what are some other things that you can do throughout your day to really help reduce your entire stress load. And that might be things like making sure you're doing a breathing protocol every hour for 30 seconds. It might mean you make sure that you get up and walk around or do a few air squats, just get your body moving. You could do a jumping jack or something, but just making sure you're sitting, standing, you're moving a lot throughout the day, because that can really help reduce our perception of stress. So it can be any of those things, but really working then to lower the stress load can help prevent the chaotic eating. Okay, so I want you to take one of those and commit to trying one of them today and the rest of the week, so that you can kind of get curious and see what happens when you start to use a strategy to start to help that chaotic eating pattern. Um, and then I do just want to say something I always say, but I want to remind you that you maybe tell yourself, okay, so for this week, I am going to practice being mindful at one meal every day this week. So I'm going to sit down, I'm going to take a breath, my meal in front of me. I'm going to go through my five senses. I'm going to pause between bites. I'm really going to savor, think about what I'm eating, the taste, the smell, all these things. And then all of a sudden, a day goes by. The next day, you're like, wait, I totally forgot to do that yesterday. I really screwed up. Remember to stay in compassion and grace with yourself. This is so important because if you get really hard on yourself, if you're getting really negative with yourself, I screwed that up. I said I was going to do it. I didn't do it. That's really going to create a lot of stress and tension within the body. And what you're going to find is that you're going to want to go to food for that. That shame, that guilt, it always makes us overeat. Maybe not the same day, maybe not the next day, but it'll probably happen within a week where we end up overeating to deal with that feeling. So I really want you to be compassionate and graceful with yourself, as well as if the misstep happens, yes, be compassionate, give yourself grace. But you also want to do the second step where you really look at, okay, what can I do different next time so that doesn't happen? So it's both parts, grace and compassion with yourself, and then making a plan to how to do different the next time. Okay, I hope you choose something from those lists. Would love to hear if you do what you decide to choose. And then I'd love to hear at the end of the week how it goes. You can get in touch. All different ways. You guys have heard it all. Socials are Heinen Counseling and Coaching. Or I don't even remember. Uh, so you could DM me there. You could comment on any of the posts I do on Facebook, anything like that. But I'd love to hear how it's going for you. Okay, thanks again for listening, and we will talk soon. Hi, everyone. Guess what? I have a lovely discount code just for you, my listeners. The code is 10 off. That's 10OFF, and it will get you 10% off any one of my online courses, which now include Mastering Mindful Eating, Overcome Binge Eating, Overeating, and Emotional Eating for Good. And I also have a course on When You Want to Stop the Weight Loss Medication, a comprehensive guide to weight maintenance and mastery. So if you've maybe lost some weight using a medication and you're now wanting to go off the medication but keep the weight off, this is the course for you. And any course you buy, you keep the course for a minimum of 3 years, maybe longer. It just depends on how many are purchased. All courses are self-paced, and I promise you they are practical, meaning they don't just tell you what you need to do. You actually engage in the skills and strategies needed to make actual lasting behavior change. You learn how to do the what. Okay, all courses have multiple modules with multiple lessons. All include lots of examples, tips, and tricks to make things simple and clear. And you also get lots of downloadable resources, including the daily planning template that I use with my own clients, the exact protocol to use after a binge or an overeat has occurred to minimize its damage on your body and your mind. There are protein cheat sheets, research-based journaling prompts, and the literal how-to checklists on the skill you are learning about. And with the weight maintenance course, you also have a movement module that will help you figure out how to make a movement plan that fits your particular lifestyle and level of fitness. And you also have a natural appetite regulation module. So whether if you have never tried an online course to change behavior, or if you have, I just highly would recommend that you try one of these. I've put my heart and soul into both of them. They are all research-based, and now you can get 10% off. So again, that code is 10OFF. If you're ready to make changes that last, you can go to my website, heatherheinen.com. Heinen is spelled Heynen. And from the main menu, click courses, and it will get you to where you want to go. Or you can click on the links in the episode description below the show. And again, as soon as you're there, when you're ready for checkout, just enter the code 10OFF, 10 off. And just a reminder, I also have an ebook cookbook that is now available. It's called Protein Forward Easy Recipes. It includes all high protein recipes, including breakfast and sweet treats full of protein and lunches and dinner. Okay, so again, head to my website. It's probably the easiest thing to do. heatherheinen.com. Heinen is spelled Heynen. And from there, go to courses or the cookbook. And again, use code 10 off at checkout. Did you know you can find a lot more help from me on my website? Go to heatherheynen.com. Heinen is spelled Heynen, and there you will find links to my online courses, how I work with clients one-on-one, as well as online with my coaching and counseling services that I offer.